So, my name is Renato Battista. I'm 29 years old. I'm a national coordinator of Free Brazil Movement. I graduated in international relations and political science, a master in public relations. And I'm here in Free Brazil Movement since the movement was founded in 2014. The Free Brazil Movement started with a demonstration in 1st November 2014. Was a demonstration, a manifestation in favor of the free speech, in favor of the liberdade de imprensa,
freedom of press,
of the freedom of press, because in this time
the headquarters of a magazine called Folha de São Paulo, right?
was attacked by the left wing. Because they did a cover of a magazine doing some revelations about Lula's government.
Yeah, they were telling that Lula and Dilma, which was the president of the time, they knew about corruption scandals that were going on.
And the left wing went to the headquarters of this magazine and attacked it. So we
defended them.
Yeah, we defended them with a demonstration. And after months after this first demonstration, we initiated the demonstrations in favor of impeachment of Dilma Rousseff, and we did the larger,
the biggest manifestation in history of Brazil.
Yes, that was this manifestations in favor of impeachment of Dilma.
And would you consider the impeachment as your success? So you were the ones who actually were the ones who were
we did a lot of manifestation during 2015 and 2016 until the Chamber of Deputies and the Senate voted for the impeachment.
Okay.
We did until Dilma get out of the presidency.
Yeah, there were a lot of agents in the right wing that time that got together to get the impeachment done. So we didn't write the request per se, but we organized. We were the main organizers of the biggest manifestations, and the politicians are aware that if there wasn't all these people on the street, the impeachment would never have happened. You know, so we have a pretty big part in this.
Okay. So, and since then you've been a movement, because you've never been a party, really, and you stayed in this shape of being a movement that was created on the streets. So can you say what São Paulo means to you, like the city and the state of São Paulo? So what are your feelings towards the city and the state and the people? What is São Paulo for you?
Wow, it's a nice question. São Paulo is the city that I'm born in here. My family born in São Paulo. My grandparents are from Italy, and they came to São Paulo to build their lives. My father and my mother born here. So São Paulo is the place that I love and the place that I want to take care, because today, nowadays, São Paulo are largada.
Yeah, it's abandoned.
It's abandoned.
The administration's abandoned it.
Yeah.
That's what he means, you know. Like, for example, the core of the city, the center of the city, should be the place that attracts most tourists and commerce and everything, and it's just, I think you've been there. It's horrible. A lot of homeless people, drug use, robbery, you know. Yeah,
and I went to other places that are that have more poverty than São Paulo, and it's better. For example, I went to El Salvador, including I want to give to you this gift. It's our magazine, Valete. It's 1-year edition that we made in February. And in this time I was in El Salvador. That is the country who eliminated the crime.
Yes.
And it's a place that is more that have more poverty than São Paulo. And I went to the center of San Salvador, and it's a better place than the center of São Paulo. So
they reduced the homicides by 98%, 98.5%,
yes.
right?
Yes.
But with very harsh means, by very harsh
Yes.
means. So he was very, very strict in that.
Yes, and I defend these measures to São Paulo.
Okay.
I think not only to São Paulo but to Brazil, because here we have a lot of laws that beneficiate the people who did this type of crimes.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, sorry, but just like a month ago, we had a great victory that the criminals that were arrested, they could leave prison like for 4 to 5 times a year, which we were like, wait, but why would they come back? And a lot of them didn't come back, right? Because the prisons are like, oh, you can go, do your thing and come back here. Many of them didn't, and they use that time. Yeah, I know, it's completely insane.
For example, I commented this in my live today. A girl who kills his father and his mother, he have this benefit on Father's Day. He could live out of the prison with this benefit. It's a
to
little
celebrate
bit crazy.
Father's Day.
Okay.
There was a person that killed their own parents.
They
Yes.
killed their own parents.
Yeah, but since the law says, well, people in prisons, they can leave during Father's Day, during Mother's Day to celebrate that day. So it was kind of ironic that this person killed their own parents and he could leave to celebrate Mother's Day.
Wow. Okay.
I think it's so great that whenever we tell people from other countries that their faces are just,
Yes.
it's always like, what the hell? Oh yeah, this is Brazil for you.
I told it to the Minister of Justice in El Salvador, and he did the same face. So people who kills his own fathers could live out of the prison in the Father's Day. It's a little bit different the way that you combat the crime.
So it's justitia that is the problem, the justice, justitia.
Sure,
Like
absolutely.
rules that have to change,
Yes,
not rules,
yes.
but laws that have to be changed.
Yes, of
Completely,
course.
on the federal level.
Completely.
And do you think you can afford that, not afford that, breach that as a running for São Paulo? Because it's a thing that has to be done on the federal level in Brazil.
Yes.
So
I'm running for city councilor here in São Paulo. A city councilor have a lot of things that we could do to improve the segurança,
The safety.
Yeah. It's more than take care of the city, put lights in our city. We don't have 100% LEDs in São Paulo. We need to take care of the things. It's a little bit.
What I think it's interesting is that when Renato went to El Salvador, of course he as a city councilman, he wouldn't have the power to do all these changes that need to be done on a federal level. But he adapted the plan of Nayib Bukele to our city, so things he could do. He was inspired by it, you know. For example, have you ever heard of the broken window theory? Basically, it's like the broken window theory believes
You need to take care of the things. You need to take care of the space. If you have a place that people vandalize, other people will vandalize much more. And
more crimes will be committed there, not just vandalization, right?
Yes.
For example, if you have a street that has a lot of graffiti and the illumination is not good, so it's more likely that crimes will happen there, right? So that's something that we're trying to resolve here.
But from my outside perspective, there are a lot of those places in Brazil.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So
It's a
where
huge
do you
problem.
start? That's always the question. So yeah.
Tell about I don't know how do you say people that do the graffiti on the street. What do you call them?
Well, if you want to name them positively, there would be street artists.
No, negatively.
Negatively,
Like he's a vandalizer, we could say that?
Yeah, it's vandalism, yeah?
Yeah, so I think you could tell about how these people never get fined or arrested or...
Here in São Paulo we have a law that all people who did this type of vandalizing the city, they need to pay a fine. I think it's like 10,000 reais.
Yes.
And this law existed since 2021. And until this law was sanctioned by the mayor, was approved, no one have paid this fine. So it's a law that don't have effect. And I want that this need to be effective.
Okay.
I think that we need to have in São Paulo uma cobertura de câmeras.
A camera coverage around the city.
A camera cover around the city that could identify this type of vandalizer and punish them with a fine or something like this.
But aren't there more important issues? Aren't there more important issues in São Paulo, like real violence against people, against cars, and so on?
Yes.
Robbery, assault, and so on.
That's one aspect of it.
Yeah, there are a lot of things more important than this, of course, and that's why I bring this plan of El Salvador, of course, adapted of what we can do in the city. For example, doing this coverage of cameras in the center of city. São Paulo has today like 10,000 cameras. It's much. It's worse than what we needed. We need to improve this. We need to, for example, in São Paulo, we have 6,000 members of municipal policy.
Yes.
Yeah, the municipal police force.
Yes. I think that we need to have 15,000, 14,000, much more than we have now.
Okay. So
Which is what Bukele did in El Salvador, right?
Bukele did this in El Salvador. He improved like 60% of the members of policy and the
army.
Of the army.
I was reading your 7 goals or the 7 stages for São Paulo that you were proposing on Instagram and on your website and so on. And I was thinking everything is very great. You read it and you think, yeah, of course, this is what São Paulo has to do. But then I was asking myself, okay, is there the money for it? How much will it cost? Have you calculated that?
Yes, because now in São Paulo, it's
budget, the biggest budget.
We are with the biggest budget of whole history of São Paulo, because the mayor negotiated the debts of São Paulo with the union.
Yeah.
And now we have a big budget to do a lot of things, a lot of investments.
Investments?
Yes, to do a lot of investments. Okay. So we can do it, for example, in the municipal policy. It's like we go for 6,000 members of municipal policy. To, for example, 12, we're gonna pay for it like 100,000 millions per year. And now São Paulo has a budget of 122 billion reais in billion reais.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a lot of space to invest in.
$250 million approximately.
Yeah.
Yes, and now there's
I'm sorry, more actually. Sorry.
And now the Justice Secretary of Municipal São Paulo, it's only 1% of the whole budget of the mayor of the prefeitura,
City Hall.
of the city hall. So I defend that need to be like 2% of the.
This is why these are maybe the most important elections in the history of the city, because of the amount of money that we're going to have to applicate these measures.
I see.
So there will definitely be, we have the money. But like, do other candidates? They don't have these plans. Like the majority of them. I worked at the I don't know how do you say where the city councilmen work. Like what's the name of the building? Like this. It's not the city hall because that's the executive, but the legislative. So I worked there before, and the amount of laws that are just rename the street or give a special day to whatever. So that's what they're focusing on. Because the truth is, most of the city councilmen, they're corrupt. They're bought by the mayor. So they just do whatever they do in there. They vote these useless laws, and they vote accordingly to what the mayor wants. There are no people there with actual projects right now, right?
Yeah, like 90% of the projects who are discussed in this chamber of City Hall.
The chamber, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are projects of changing street names or days.
Yeah.
Something like this. They didn't discuss it. Structural programs.
It sounds very good and very important. How much do you think you will be dependent on others in order to carry out that plan? Because you, as a deputy, you cannot do it by yourself. You know, you need alliances, you need corporations, and so on. So, do you think it will be difficult to find someone spending all this money for it, or do you think yes? They say it's yes. We need it. It's the most important thing, or
depend who will be the next mayor too, because the next mayor has a lot of power into the chamber to pass projects. But my my main projects will be this. Will be projects in the safety area. So depends.
And what Renato has to do is to present them. He will present them and try to approve them,
Yes,
right?
yes,
If the mayor doesn't allow them to become real factual, then we will expose that too, because these projects are in the better interest of the citizen, right? So people will at least know that the mayor doesn't want that to happen.
Okay, who do you think will win the race? Can you give a
I think the
insight?
The actual mayor.
Current.
Yes, the current mayor. Okay.
Yes. So I think I will have a space to work off in this programs.
And how are you with him? Like
Okay.
So
Yes.
Yeah, well, we don't have a candidate these elections. Like we're not actively supporting anyone because we had our own candidate that the party cut off the election. Yeah, King Kataguiri.
Yeah.
He's one of the biggest congressmen, a federal level here in Brazil. He's but he wasn't aligned to the interests of the party.
Yeah,
so
and that's why we
they cut
are
him off.
creating the mission.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our political party. So King, if he want, he could be our mayor in.
Yeah, this is
next election.
the candidate we support. Yeah.
Okay. So it would be interesting to know what will be the cooperation between MBL and Uniao afterwards. How will that look like?
Well, you know, we had our very big differences with the current governor of São Paulo, which is Tarcísio, and we I don't want to say attacked, but we talked very badly of him during the election. We didn't believe he would be a good governor, right? Yeah. But he won the election. And from the moment he won the election, we started seeing that his government was actually good. And we were wrong about assuming that he would be a horrible governor. And we started discussing and talking, and today MBL and the governor are very united. So we can put these differences aside when it's to the greater good, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. And about the Uniao Brasil is the party that I'm now, but I don't have how can I say identification with the
because like here in Brazil the political parties they're not really political parties. They don't have a clear ideology, you know. Yes. But at the same time, you have to be member of a party to run to compete in the elections. I don't know if it's like this in Germany or other countries that you can have an independent candidacy.
Yeah, you can.
You can.
But it's very rarely. It's not.
It's
common.
rare.
Yeah.
Well, we support that. We know it's rare, but it's harder to win this way. But we think it should be a possibility. But since we have to join a party that exists, so Uniao is the one that allowed our candidates to come with
what MBL defends.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
But it has just been founded, and it has just reached the number of signatures to be a party.
Now you're talking about Mission.
Sorry, about Mission. Yes.
Yes,
Sorry.
we already have the signatures that we needed to found the party, and we are in the process to send these signatures to the Kataguiri.
Yeah, it's to the electoral tribunal.
Yes,
right.
tribunal,
they have to approve these signatures.
We are in this process, and we think we're gonna finish it until the December this year.
Okay.
We actually have way more signatures than we're required.
Yes.
Because as I was telling you, I think.
But the tribunal rejected some signatures. It's a little bit normal. It's
No, yeah. As I think I was telling you this before the interview, that creating a political party in Brazil is very difficult, and it becomes increasingly difficult over the years. The current owners, let's say, of these parties, they don't want new competition.
Yes.
Right. And politics in Brazil, it's a lot complicated because we depend a lot on these party owners, let's call them. We kind of nickname them
Caciques.
this way. Yes, caciques,
yeah.
perfectly. I don't know if there's a translation to this term, but
Well,
that's what I was trying to pass. Cacique, perfect.
Yeah. It's a leader. It's someone. Yeah, someone who's ruling the party, leading the party, is the face of the party probably to the outside.
Yeah, and mostly with economic interests, not ideological.
Okay.
For example, Uniao Brasil, it's should be considered a right-wing party, but they're in the government. They have ministries of government in Lula's government,
Federal government.
in the federal government, which is a leftist president. So
Yes. They are in the federal government and the state government.
the state's government also,
And municipal government too.
which is a leftist, rightist, and center administration. These three.
Okay.
This is politics in Brazil.
And the other parties in Brazil are very similar to this.
So you named some challenges for São Paulo, and also in your agenda that you're presenting on social media and so on. You said that there are bandits. You have to face the corruption, corrupção, and the fiscal uncertainty. So those three that you want to combat and.
Oh, okay. The bandits, right? The criminality.
Yeah. The criminality,
Yeah.
yes. So this is basically the challenges that you see mainly for São Paulo, right?
Yes, not only me, the people of São Paulo in a lot of pesquisas.
Yeah, researchers.
Research talk that safety and justice is
sorry, it's opinion polls, you mean?
Yes, in opinion polls they said that safety was the main theme that.
Okay.
Yeah, the security was the main issue. Because if you don't have security, you don't have access to anything else.
Yes.
You can't prosper in life. You can't go to the mall. You can, if you're always afraid to even leave your house, or sometimes actually stay in your house, because in most poorer neighborhoods, it's very common to have your house invaded, right? So security is the main issue. And then later we can discuss other things, but first people need to have the right to live. This is how basic the problem is. Like we're talking about the right to live, right?
Yes.
And the right of property also.
Yeah.
Because people here, the people in Brazil and São Paulo, whatever, they don't have a lot of money. We're a poor country, and people work a lot of months to save up some money to maybe buy a cell phone. And they're still paying for that cell phone when they get robbed. This is very unfair.
Yes, that's a thing that I learned in El Salvador. That if we don't have security, we can't have access to other things. So we discuss education, but if we don't have security, the fathers could not leave his children to the school because they are afraid to be robots.
Yeah, to be mugged, robbed,
Yeah,
or something worse.
as easy as it gets. Yeah, it goes down to this very basic rights. And
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you think, because I read somewhere on your Instagram also, do you think that state councillors and parliamentarians, they earn too much? You were talking about the number of, or the amount of wage that the state parliamentarians have for their work. Do you think it's too high? Because you said that you want to decrease it?
Yeah, the benefits. We have privileges that I think that all politics have in Brazil. Not the wage, but these privileges. For example, have
A driver, for example.
driver, or I don't know. For example, health benefits, moradia,
The housing, they also
housing
don't
benefits.
have to pay like a rent, for example.
For example, city councilor in São Paulo has 20 people working with him.
20.
20.
Just for one person.
Just for one city councilor.
And the senators have 81. Wait, 81?
No,
Right.
more.
More?
Like 80, 90.
Yeah, the amount
Wow.
of money we spend on politicians, the salary isn't even that high.
Yes.
The problem is everything else,
Yes.
everything they have access to.
The benefits.
Yeah, the
as you
benefits.
said. Okay.
So
It's
imagine here in São Paulo we are 55 city councilor, and each one has 20 people working for them.
Yeah. Plus his
How
own
many
salary
we are
and-
talking
yeah.
here?
Yeah.
So,
And imagine in
for
all the
example,
cities
the city, the chamber of the city councilors costs like 1 billion reais.
Wow.
I don't think that needed this,
Yeah.
And that's for one city. I know it's the biggest city, of course,
Yeah,
but it's still just
but
one
it's so
city.
much.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about your ideas for Brazil. I mean, you're running for São Paulo, but still the biggest city, and it's the cultural center of Brazil, political center not so much, but cultural and economic center of Brazil. So the Movimento Brasil Livre was founded in 2014, and in the streets of São Paulo, when people were revolting against the former president Dilma Rousseff. And can we talk a little bit maybe about the start of MBL, how they emerged from the streets, becoming a movement, institutionalizing a little bit, and now founding a party?
If you'll allow me, I was just doing a little intermission because the time period in Brazil is very important, because 2013 there was a lot of public demonstrations. They were bubbling up all over the country because the economy was starting to go bad and people were starting to get very upset, and they didn't know exactly why at first.
Yeah.
Then they understood, okay, it's because the leftist government here is absolutely crap. It was a disaster in many ways, but mainly economic. So this revolt started aiming towards Dilma. And this is where MBL comes. The founders of MBL, you're a founder, right? They were very upset that Dilma won the election, even in the scenery. So like, what else can we do? People still voted for her, and she still won the election in 2014, right? She was president from 2010 and got re-elected in 2014.
Yeah.
So that's why they felt they needed to create this movement. Because okay, people are already mad. They're going to the streets. We can conduct this hate to a positive thing. Yeah, we understand that hate sometimes is essential in politics, because you have to hate the leftist politicians that do all these horrible measures that tear up your life.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I think that's the logic that all started. It was a very important period in time in Brazil. It was a cultural revolution. People were finally starting to understand, okay, we're not going to defend people, we're going to defend ideas, and the right ideas that are going to make us a first world country, and Dilma got impeached. So we were very optimistic that time. It was a beautiful time here in Brazil. you know?
Some people were referring to this time as the Brazilian Spring, as a reference
Yes.
to the Arabic Spring that happened just 2 years before.
Yeah,
And
that's a good definition, yeah.
Or 3 years before, yeah. Okay.
And it all went to, you know, it didn't work out later.
Yes. Yeah. Here, you mean in Brazil?
Yeah,
Yes.
here in Brazil.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk a little about the reasons of that. It's a long story.
It
but
is.
it's
It is interesting because also I know some people who say since 2013 never has been the same again. Like there was like a cut in society, in politics, and so on here in Brazil. And since then, it's very hard to say your opinion because then you're categorized into one side or the other side, and it's much more complicated and difficult to communicate with each other also.
Yeah, things are more divided now. Right?
More
Yes,
divided,
much
yeah.
more.
And people, they are more, they care more about politics today. But they don't understand politics yet. So we're kind of new to this. Like we're not like the Americans that have a big culture in this. So we want to understand politics, but those same people that went to the streets in 2013 saying like we're not defending people, we're defending ideas, they got in love with Jair Bolsonaro. They're like, oh, this is the guy that's gonna lead us. And he was a politician for over 30 years. He never did anything very important. But the thing just kind of fell in his lap, and he was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna be running for president now.
Yeah.
And he did, and he won, and
People like much more his charisma
yeah, he's very charismatic.
than what he defends or not.
Yeah.
Okay. And how does MBL go with Bolsonaro? So because I read something about it's a love-hate relationship. So
I don't think there's love there.
I think it's much more hate.
because CNN Brazil named it like this. It's MBL and Bolsonaro is like love-hate.
Yeah, because the media always put MBL in the extreme right wing. Okay, so they did the same with Bolsonaro. So they still not understand what MBL defends. So they put or in the same side or in the same
category. Right?
Yes, in the same category as Jair Bolsonaro, and it's.
Would you cooperate with him? Would you cooperate with him on a federal level?
No, we voted in Jair Bolsonaro in 2028 because it was against Workers' Party, and we born doing opposition to the Workers' Party.
Yeah.
So we voted for him in 2018, but when he
won.
And when he won, he started to do a lot of measures that we disagree. For example, he destroyed the corruption combat in Brazil. He destroyed the Lava Jato, that was the operation who put in the jail a lot of criminals, a lot of politics. He destroyed politicians. He did nothing in the security area. He didn't change any law that privileged the crime. He did nothing in this area. So we started to make an opposition. First, we started to
point out his errors.
Exactly. And after we start to do opposition because the Bolsonarismo, that is the way that everybody talk. The ideology. That is not an ideology. It's like
it's not an ideology per se. It's like people that love Bolsonaro.
Exactly.
The person Bolsonaro. But you asked about our issue with Bolsonaro. So I think we could divide our problems with him in two categories because we have on an ideological level and on a personal level too. So the ideological level is rather obvious. So I was just describing to you this beautiful moment in Brazilian history, and Bolsonaro was responsible to destroying all that. That's because he has a son, which is a corrupt politician, and
senator.
A senator, yes, exactly. He was a city council in Rio de Janeiro, and then became a senator to the state.
He was a state deputy.
Oh, right, state deputy, sorry. He has another son that is a city councilor. I was mixing them up. So
he has
3
Now
sons.
4.
Now 4 sons that are in politics. Yeah. So anyway, one of these was about to be arrested, right, because of a small corruption scheme in his state, and he started to be very afraid that his son would be arrested. So he made a negotiation with the Congress and with the judiciary. Like, what do you want me to deliver to you? Like, what can I do so my son won't be arrested? So there was this huge deal. And all these ideas that people were supporting that were important, like changing all the criminal system, combating corruption, everything, he never made these things happen because it was part of that arrangement that he wanted. So he destroyed all that thing that we were born in, that we admired so much, this beautiful moment in Brazil history, as I was saying. And the personal level is because when we started to oppose him, he actually persecuted us with fake accusations, fake absurd accusations that we were laundering $100 million with YouTube super chat, you know, the money that people send in lives. Yeah. It's ridiculous. We laugh today, but people got arrested for this.
People from you?
People that were supporters of him. They weren't even members of MBL.
Okay.
They were supporters, and they were innocent, and they got arrested. Later, they were released. They were like, "Oh, actually, you guys are innocent." So pat on the back, and off you go.
But that's a problem of the system, not only of...
Well, this happened during his presidency. You know, it was a prosecutor that he was actively a Bolsonarist. You know.
They used the ABIN. ABIN is it's
like our CIA.
Brazilian Agency of Intelligence.
Yeah.
They used this agency to persecute the opposition, and this type of things.
No other government ever.
No other government did do this
before.
Not only the Workers' Party did.
I see. So, okay, a very, very interesting relation with Bolsonaro. So I think it's clear for European people how close you are, or not close even. Where would you put yourself, or MBL, on an ideological left-right spectrum?
In a right wing.
Completely
right wing,
completely,
or
yes.
More to the middle or central?
Right wing.
Right wing.
Yeah,
yes.
I think many people assume that Bolsonaro is very extremist because of the way he speaks, and he's not actually an extremist because he doesn't believe in anything.
Yeah.
If anything, the extremists would be us because we have very firm beliefs. I don't mean extremists in a way that we want to kill people or destroy anything. No, but we are extreme believers in what we believe in. And Bolsonaro is just an opportunist.
Well, we don't believe in coup. We don't believe in revolutions or things like this.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
But
all Democrat.
we defend with
first.
Yes.
Yeah, with
okay.
vigor.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you would consider yourself right wing.
Yes.
And you're also not. You have no problem saying that, as I.
No.
Okay.
No.
Because in Europe we are having a big problem with right. Considering yourself right.
The left wings they put the anyone who considerate of the right. So here in Brazil we talk liberals on the right wing, not in the left, like
our
USA.
Terminology is
but
different. Yeah.
The liberals, the conservatives, center right wing people. The left wing talked. Everybody is extremist,
fascist.
Is fascist. Is neo-fascist. Is they created names to put the
fascist
people.
Is a good
they
one.
talk about the Giorgia Meloni in Italy. That is a neo-fascist of extreme right wing, things like this. So we don't hear what they talk, and we consider right wing.
Okay.
And only.
And from what I got is this left and right is a very important differentiation that you do in Brazil. So you have the leftists and you have the rightists, and people want to consider themselves to either be left or right.
People want to root for a team. It's why we love football. They don't even understand exactly what it means, but I root for the red team and he roots for the blue team. So this is what I mean when I say people want to be interested in politics, but they don't understand it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we're getting there.
Yes.
For example, there are a lot of left wings. There are the communists, socialists. There are I don't know, social democracies.
Social democrats.
Yeah.
There are a lot of tonalities of left wing and the right too. But the people only thinks that have two sides.
Yeah.
The left and
Yeah,
the right.
yeah, like it's a binary. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Who are the people who elect you or will elect you? How can you frame them a little bit? Or is it difficult to say? Because I read usually at the beginning were younger and apolitical. So people were not really interested in politics because they were...
Oh, no. I think that the people who voted for us are younger.
Yeah, definitely.
18 to 26, 29 years old.
Middle to lower class, maybe?
Yes.
Middle to lower class.
Middle to lower class. And...
Yeah. And there are people, and these are people that are very... we have a majorly youngish audience.
Yes.
And also, these are very... Can you say politicized people? Is that correctly? They're very interested in politics. For example, we have one of our staples here in MBL is that we have daily live streams. We have 3 daily live streams every day, just talking about national politics, municipal politics, of our strategies. Like we openly talk about our strategies daily, on a daily basis. And we just started reaching like 15,000 people simultaneously watching. So these are people that are very interested in our ideology and what we have to say and what we think about things. It's not like, I think it's very, of course there are those people who just want to root for a team. But for example, in the Bolsonarism, the main thing is just like, I love Jair Bolsonaro. That's just the basic thing, and he's persecuted by the system and he needs my help, so they feel like they're the Bolsonaro soldiers. It's much more personal than ideological, you know. And our base of audience, of voters, I think it's very ideological, yeah.
Okay, and you present yourself as anti-establishment, so not prone to politics and the system, but more on the side of the people. Do you really think that you can change the system inside like that? Because if you're more on the side of the people, you still have to be inside of the system in order to change it,
Yes.
you know, to have several positions in important places in order to change the system to the better. So
I don't know if, for example, we can change the system or the establishment or things like that, but we defend that we need to do different things that they already did.
We can only try.
For example, in 2022, they are running Lula and Bolsonaro, and we are against these two these main candidates, because we don't think that we can change things with the same people.
okay.
It's like I guess we have to try, you know. Brazil is not a serious country today. We have to admit that. Sometimes we talk about this and people get mad, like, oh, you can't say those things about your own country. But you have to recognize the problem. And maybe Brazil was never meant to be serious in the first place, and our plan will never going to work, but we have to at least try to see. So yeah, I think we will try to change the system from the inside. That's all we can do. You know, for example, we have 513 congressmen on a federal level here in Brazil. We elected one, which is Kataguiri, and he is the most. He's the deputy that presents the most law projects. I think that's correct. The most reports. He's the most productive politician in our country today, and that's just only one. So when we finally have a party, and we finally start electing more people, I think we can do a substantial change in the country, in this country.
Okay. I would like to talk a little bit about the topics that are prevalent at the moment, the current topics that are important for Brazil. So there was the ban of X 3 weeks ago, so Brazilian users cannot access it anymore. And some people say it's a restriction of freedom, and there was this big demonstration on Avenida Paulista last Saturday. And it's also a threat to Brazilian democracy. How do you see this?
I see that people who talked that the X was banned because they didn't respect the Brazilian law, I think it's an excuse that they use it because they want to regulate the social media. They banned the X by the judiciary, and they want to regulate the social media by the judiciary. So I think that nowadays we live here in Brazil under censorship because people are afraid to talk about that they really want about the Supreme Court and about the federal government. So it's terrible, but that's it.
Yeah, there's also an interesting history there, but maybe if you'll allow me to explain, because how did Alexandre de Moraes got all this power? Like, what happened? It wasn't from night to day. So it's a very complex story because there are no good guys and bad guys here. I mean, there are bad guys and bad guys. So everyone's a villain here because, as we were saying, Jair Bolsonaro, when he was president, he started persecuting political oppositioners. He actually wanted to make a coup d'etat here in Brazil. It was a plan of this. We have several declarations from people in the armed forces, in the army, in the navy, and etc., saying, "Oh, we were reached like to go on board with Bolsonaro's attempt on the democracy." So that happened.
There is a proof of that.
Oh, absolutely. There's a term that was found saying that Bolsonaro would close not Congress but the electoral tribunal. He was going to close it, shut it down.
Yes, and there was a lot of people in front of the army's headquarters.
Yes.
Doing demonstrations to the army,
asking them to intervene.
To intervene. They said that the electoral results are a fraud, so they didn't believe in the result. They think that Bolsonaro wins with 7%.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true. Bolsonaro lost. He lost the election. He did a great job in losing for a guy who was in the prison. And they can't accept this. There are Bolsonaristas who talked in lives in YouTube and the social media to the people, asking for the people to go in front of the headquarters of the army to ask them for an intervene.
Yes. I was just searching here to show you. The document that was found in one of Bolsonaro's ministers' house. So there was a term I was starting to look here.
The justice minister.
The justice minister, right?
Yes.
Which he was basically gonna negate the result of the election and stay in power. This was going to happen. And so
they want to put in jail Alexandre de Moraes.
Oh yeah, that was also in the term. Also,
They create that the electoral results are a fraud, and put the army to guarantee the democracy, and Bolsonaro stays in the power.
Okay.
So this document outlined this plan. It all happened, and people don't admit that, but that was an issue. And Alexandre de Moraes, he believes that the mission to save Brazilian democracy from the terror of Jair Bolsonaro is his own, is his mission, right? And for a while, we kind of understand, okay, maybe he's stretching a little bit far here and there, but well, there is actually a threat to democracy here. We kind of understand where he's getting from. But so Bolsonaro lost the election, and the threat of democracy died. These people tried to do something in January 8th when they invaded public buildings.
Yeah. In Brasilia, was it?
Yeah. They were actually trying to justify the army in intervening. Like, we're going to create, the plan was, we're going to create a huge chaos. And in a huge chaos, the army has to intervene. And when the army intervenes, we got our dictatorship that we want. Of course, they don't call it a dictatorship. But these things happen. And Alexandre de Moraes in the beginning, he actively stopped these people. But they're not a threat anymore. And he keeps gaining power. Mm-hmm. So why does he keep gaining power if these people are no longer a threat? So if Alexandre de Moraes is so powerful today, it's only because Jair Bolsonaro allowed him to gain much power.
Okay.
So it's a complex story.
Yes.
It's not just, he's a bad judge that came out of nowhere, you know?
But what I've also heard is that the deputies in Brasilia, they don't really, or the legislative, that doesn't really have the competence anymore or the power anymore to make laws. So most of the laws are made by the federal, the STF,
or Supreme Court.
Court. Mm-hmm. And so actually there's a shift of power from the legislative to the judicative, which shouldn't happen. Yeah. And this is something that worries me a little bit.
That's really true. But in Bolsonaro's government, he has the opportunity to indicate 2 members of the Supreme Court. And he indicated 2 guys who has a lot of connections between them and the Workers' Party, and these 2 ministers, they allowed the actions of Alexandre de Moraes.
Oh yeah,
so they are part of the problem too.
Yes.
Okay. There's something else. Like one of the main problems in our judiciary system are the monocratic decisions, or the decisions that one judge from the Supreme Court, he takes the decision, and
for example, a law project was approved in the chamber, in the Senate, in the chamber for the second time, in the Senate for the second time. The president
vetoed.
No, vetoed. Sanctioned.
Signed.
Yes, signed it. And only one minister of the Supreme Court, could take all of this process and said, no, that's not unconstitutional. And in Bolsonaro's government, the chamber and the Senate approved a law to end this single-hand decision.
Yeah.
Okay, and Bolsonaro
vetoed.
Now
he vetoed. Yeah.
So we have
because
a lot
it was part of the deal.
Yes.
The deal I was explaining to you.
We have a lot of opportunities to change things.
Yes.
And Bolsonaro, in all of these opportunities, he take the opportunity and bring to the Supreme Court and to the Workers' Party. And
he sold us out.
Yes, and things are.
He sold the right out to the system.
I see.
Yeah.
São Paulo is as we said before, the economic center of Brazil, and nonetheless there's these fuga de cerebrais, so the brain drain from the city. I'm sorry for my Portuguese, I'm still learning.
Fuga de cérebro.
So why do you think this is the case? Why do just any idea that comes up to your mind? Why do many well-educated and people who have a lot in their head flee the country and go to Europe, to the US?
For me, first is the security. They want to go to a country who has security, and in Brazil we don't have it. So it's for the first. And second, that I think that these people look for the situation in Brazil and said, well, I can't improve myself here. I need to study or to work in another place that I will be recompensado.
Rewarded.
Yeah.
Yes, that I will be rewarded.
Yeah.
I think this too.
Yeah, I think it's the security, the economics, the culture too, because these people that are more enlightened, let's say, they don't identify with the everyday Brazilian that doesn't have access or doesn't have an active interest in culture. This is a problem that we want to resolve as well in a late future, because it's a long-term problem. But these are all the issues. Like people that are smart and well-educated, and they don't feel like they could prosper, they could thrive here for all these reasons.
Yes. Okay. So it will be a big topic for the coming decades, because
Absolutely.
I think is it also on your agenda, or are you just dealing with more recent problems?
No, we talk a lot about this. We are we are the only group that has a cultural magazine, a cultural program. The Mission, for example, we are writing a lot of books that we call Yellow Book. That is the
Yellow Book is just the title.
it's the name.
Book. Yeah.
And then we are talking. Could you explain more about the Yellow Book?
So like we have.
It's like our program.
Long-term, yes, exactly. Our long-term project to rebuild this country. We actually believe that Brazil can be saved. He has to basically be rebuilt. I don't mean in a revolution or a violent way. I mean, for example, our elites, they need to be replaced, because they're composed by people who are either investing in the left or are complete opportunists, like people that advertise for betting programs in Instagram. You understand what I mean? These bets, they're a fever right now in Brazil. So our elite is worried in acquiring more money, or either investing in left candidates. So we think this economic and cultural elite has to be replaced. We have to put people that share our beliefs in strategic places of power. And I don't mean just the people that are elected or in the government. I mean like teachers in universities, like doctors in important hospitals, like all these. So yeah, judges in the judiciary. So we need to, this is what changing the system from within means, not just electing people. You know, so it's for example, Revista Valete, the Valete magazine that Renato was talking about. It's a very important step in the Brazilian right wing having finally a cultural publication produced by great intellectuals. The left has that. Yes. I don't want to say that, the left are a bunch of morons. They're not. They rule this country for several years, and they are positioned in these positions of power for a reason. They're very competent in that. And we want to do that with our beliefs too. Yeah. So I guess that's pretty much it. We don't know yet how we're going to do it, but I think we're heading in the right direction here.
It's very powerful, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
And a lot of work as well.
Absolutely. Maybe it's impossible. It's what I was saying before. Maybe we won't get nowhere. Well, let's see. We'll have to try. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I would like to talk about one topic that is also very recent in Europe. So it's the issue of gender sensibility. And I've heard, for example, at USP, at the university here in Sao Paulo, they have
changing sex program.
Yes, they're having banheiros, like toilets for all sexes, or for...
No, it's actually, they still are binary, so there are men and women, but men and women can use each one according to what they feel like. So if I'm feeling like a woman, I can use a woman's restroom, and vice versa.
Yeah, so, and also there were lawmakers at all levels, like 10 years ago, that want to ban this indoctrination in schools and universities, but it seems now that the indoctrination is back, kind of, from what I've read and heard. So how do you perceive this topic nowadays, indoctrination of young people, students, pupils, and so on? Is this a topic for you, or are you just...
Yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I know. We already talk about of these things that happens in school. Yeah. You talked about the USP. They have a program in. You talk about it, the changing sex program they have.
Yeah, they have a hospital where they do.
Yeah, they have a hospital that they apply
hormones
in children who want to change our own sex.
Children, we're talking about people below 14.
Oh, any age.
Any age. Any age.
There was an investigation to
on the assembly.
on the state assembly to understand, like, wait, what are you guys doing there? And the doctor came in to explain, and he said that children from like up to 2 to 3 years old, he attends them.
Yes, they pass through a program of changing sex, so they have psychological supports, and after they put hormones on these kids, and after, I think in a long term, they will do a surgery.
Yeah, they don't
Yes.
do surgery on minors. Like,
No,
it's
of
funny that
course.
we have to say that.
In a
it
long
should be
term,
obvious,
in a long
but-
term.
Yeah, but what I thought it was just unbelievable was that the doctor was explaining this like it was perfectly possible to pause a child's puberty, and later if they change their mind, they just go back to where it was. Like, puberty doesn't work like a Spotify player where you pause and you go and you go back. Like, so this doctor was there, like, supporting this view that what he was doing had no side effects at all.
And deputies asked to him, children could do a tattoo, for example. No, children could drink beer, could buy beer in the
Yeah, you can make these
market.
decisions.
No,
Yeah.
they can vote. No, but they can say that he wants to
Become a
change
girl.
sex or
Can do
become a
hormone
girl.
therapy.
Yeah. It's a crazy thing,
So
and
also
we combat it.
Okay, yeah, and a topic that you also want to address, but quite difficult, I think, to interfere in university
About
matters.
the schools and university, I think it's difficult to ban these things. Like, teachers are, especially in universities. I mean, in schools you can do that, but in universities, the teacher will always say his views and sometimes and his beliefs. The university is a place to debate. I understand that, but there's no debate. There's just their view right now. And if you say anything that conflicts with their views, well, you're a fascist and you shouldn't be heard. So this is and I know this reality is not just in Brazil. In America is like this. In Europe you guys have a lot of problems regarding the leftist agenda in universities, right? That they are mainstream.
But here,
there.
in the schools too.
Yes,
There are teachers that take advantage of the captive audience of the.
Yeah, that needs to be banned, like from law. Yeah.
Do you think a lot of that comes from the US and Europe? Because I've heard that. Okay,
Yeah.
I've heard
Absolutely.
that Brazil is always looking up to the US because it's close, and
Yep.
also looking up to Europe. Okay.
Yes.
I think here in Brazil we import like these ideologists, mainly in a very poor way. Like we don't even adapt a lot. We just see what's going on there and we bring it here, and that's right and left. For example, the right in Brazil imports the worst aspects of the right in the United States. So they become anti-vaccines and they get, they support coups, the tie and everything. And the left imports the worst, which is like sex change surgeries on kids.
Or
So we are importing.
racism.
I'm sorry?
Almeida.
So absurd theses like the structural racism you were saying. So the right and the left in Brazil, we import the worst aspects of the right and the left in the outside world.
Why? You're a country of 215 million people. I mean, are there not enough ideas
There's
and
a book.
self-confidence?
There's
No?
a book called Brazilian Roots would be, which is written by Sérgio Buarque de Holanda, one of our most important authors.
Raízes do Brasil?
Raízes do Brasil, exactly. And the book is called Roots of Brazil because he tries to pin out like what makes the Brazilian people this way. Not just the worst aspect, but the qualities as well. And one of the things he says is that throughout our history, we always wanted to emulate You know, the countries that we admire or maybe envy. I think envy would be a better term because, for example, because of envy, people tend to say that they hate the United States and they hate those damn colonizers of Europe. Like, well, all we have in society today is thanks to these countries, but they don't recognize that. So anyway, we always did that throughout history. So it wouldn't be different with current politics. You know?
I see. For Europeans, the inequality in South America and also in Brazil is, and Sao Paulo is still a riddle. So we always wonder why is it not getting better? And do you think that inequality somehow is in the Brazilian blood a little bit, or do you think you can overcome that?
A Brazilian what? I'm sorry.
In your Brazilian blood, like in your bloodstream.
Oh, blood, right.
You know, inherited kind of, and it's just given from generation to generation.
Inequality is that's a tough question.
Yeah,
it is. That's why you threw me under the bus here. It is a problem that we have faced since the beginning. It's true. But I think that there are people in the right that say, oh, inequality is not a problem. The problem is if you have like extremely poor people. I don't necessarily believe that. I think extreme inequality, like we have in Brazil, is necessarily a problem, right? But it's not like we have, some people that are extremely rich and some people that are extremely poor. No, like our extremely rich Brazilians, they wouldn't be considered that extremely rich in other countries.
In Instagram, in TikTok, you need to have short videos with a message quickly in the first seconds. And YouTube, you need to do lives, you need to put larger videos, and we have the cultural magazine and things different for each kind of public who assess it.
The more intellectual content, the more popular content, we have all that. Our YouTube channel, for example, those daily lives that I was saying, they're for a niche growing audience, but still a niche audience that want to hear more complex analysis on political issues. So I think we have something for everyone, you know. So for example, a guy that's in his 40s or 50s, he's not going to necessarily like our Instagram, but he's going to like Valete, you know. And a kid is not going to read Valete, but he's going to access our TikToks. So we try to reach out to the most number of people that we can.
Okay. Very, very interesting. So you're conquering kind of the digital space, you can say, or
and
you're already there.
One as well.
And the physical one.
We don't have Valete in the digital versions. It's only physical. It's like a exclusively physical experience because we want to. I don't know. I think it's something we want to bring to people. Like, let's forget the screens for a second and just try and absorb this text and paper. It's a whole experience, you know.
Where can you buy it or get it?
You can get it online or at newsstands, right?
Okay.
Yeah, you can, just a few, but mostly online. But there are a few newsstands that are already selling Valete.
Okay. So just last questions would be about Brazil, Sao Paulo, Europe, and so on. So how do you perceive the United States, the influence of the United States on Brazil and the influence of the EU also on Brazil? Do you want, is it a relation of cooperation? Is it a relation of idealizing, like is Brazil, the EU and the US are idols Brazil wants to reach up to? Is it about helping Brazil, or is it about dominating Brazil? So how do you perceive the countries?
I think that needs to be a cooperation relation, but I don't think that it's like this now. I think, of course, the United States and the EU have interests in Brazil, and we need to protect some things. For example, I think some agendas. Some international agendas, they try to influence us, and I think that Brazil needs to be need to know what is interest for our nation, and not only goes with the flow of the other countries. I think it.
Yeah. We have an issue today that leftists, billionaires, they invest money in non-government organization. How do you say that?
NGOs.
NGOs, right. So they invest a lot of money in these NGOs that are very associated to the left. For example, you have George Soros from the
Open
Society Foundation. He invests a lot of money in these NGOs. So, what is his interest? Like, he invests in, I think he invests in political campaigns too, right?
Yes, of course.
So, there are these interests. But even still, like, we're not huge players in the geopolitical issues, right? We're not very heard, like, oh, before we take this decision, let's hear what Brazil has to say. That doesn't happen. we have to be honest. We want to reach that someday, but we have to understand that this is the problem. We're not taken seriously. And it's hard to take us seriously because, Brazilians, they're always joking around and they're always happy. But, okay, when we need to solve a problem, when we need to decide what we're going to do, we don't have to hear those guys. Those guys are the jokers. We feel like this is how we are seen currently in the outside, in the international community, right? So that's, of course, there are economic interests. We are a country with more than 200 million people, so a lot of potential buyers here. But being heard, like
with Amazonia,
well, with Amazon too, there's some interest there, especially Macron is very interested in the Amazon.
Yeah, have a lot of countries that want to internationalize it. The Amazon.
And Brazil says no, it's ours.
Yes, Brazil needs to say it, but now we have a Minister of Meio Ambiente.
Meu Deus.
Environment.
Yes.
A Minister of Environment, Marina Silva, that he used it to talk a lot with Macron, for example, and they said that Brazil needs help to take care of Amazon. And I think that is not our national interest. I think that is the interest of other players. And for example, again, I will say about El Salvador. El Salvador have passed a law to prohibit this type of financial
investment
of this financial investment for these players, because when Nayib Bukele pressed the criminals with the law, these NGOs appear and says, you can't do this. Look for this paper that says that you can't endorse the law and things like this. And he says, okay, out of here, I will do what I need to do. And not listen, and I'm not listening what you are talking.
Yeah. Okay. I see. That's what I thought, but I wanted to ask you.
And regarding the Amazon, there's also a hypocritical argument, especially from European countries, especially France, for example. Like, okay, we have our problems in the Amazon. Sure, there are fires going on. I think Lula is very irresponsible regarding preserving the Amazon. But we were better at preserving our forests than basically every other country. For example, France, they destroyed their forests and their environments, and they got very rich off of it. And now they want to come to our country to tell us how to run our forest. No, you're not going to do that. You know, let us take care of it. You already, I don't mean you, I'm talking like I'm talking to Macron, for example. So Macron already, and his country basically, already destroyed their forests. So let us handle ours, okay? That's kind of our point here, you know?
Yes,
it's a fair one, right?
Too much interference from outside.
Oh,
that was my
absolutely.
question, Okay, so you feel like you're treated as someone who is, not able to cope with their own problems, basically. Okay.
Yeah.
At the end, we talk about the Missao. So this is your new project.
Yes. Since our foundation, people who support us, or fans or followers, they said to us, MBL need to be a political party because you have ideology, you have people who supports. You are the MBL is like a political party, but without a political party. So we started to collect the signatures to this project, and we're gonna finalize it.
We're gonna finalize it.
Yeah, we're gonna finalize this year, and it will be a party different of the others. For example, we try to put King Kataguiri to run as a mayor in São Paulo, and the parties, everybody said no, King Kataguiri he can't running as a mayor of São Paulo.
And he had 10% on the first opinion polls when he didn't even announce that he was going to be a candidate. So he was a viable candidate. Yes. He was the most voted congressman of Uniao Brasil, which is his party, in the state. So why wouldn't you want him to run for mayor?
In his first election, he has 500,000 votes.
Yeah.
Wow. For Congress, you mean? Okay, but now he retreated, so he stepped back from being a mayor of São Paulo recently.
He wasn't allowed to be a candidate. You know, he wanted to
by the party.
By the party, exactly.
Yes.
So the party told him, okay, step back.
Yeah, it wasn't his decision.
Okay, yeah.
So in Mission, it would not happen.
Yeah, and also, like, we understand that there are no real right-wing political parties in Brazil. Like, they are parties, but they're not ideological, as I was saying before. The left has them. For example, Workers' Party is an actual political party. We have every disagreement we can with them. We don't agree with them with anything. We think they're corrupt, authoritarian. They're everything we despise, but they are a political, ideological party. The right doesn't have that. Bolsonaro's party, for example, it's just a
physiological.
Yeah, it's a physiological party. Like, they want to see how they're gonna benefit from something. Oh, am I?
They are doing alliances with Workers' Party in some places.
Doesn't make any sense. So we want to be the first actual right-wing party that our country so desperately needs. You know, because we need to get these ideas far. So you were asking about some of these ideas. For example, we believe that the right needs a cultural revolution. We're proposing that. We believe that the justice system has to be revamped. So we will work on that. Like more time for criminals to be in jails, less benefits, all that. The economy, we think that it should be more capitalized. Like, we need to be more of a capitalist country, a more free country in this way. Like, I know I'm being too generic, but it's because these are so many specific proposals that it's hard to pin one out.
And each area will have a book for it.
Yeah.
We have a yellow book for it. For example, in the security area, I have been in El Salvador again to study what we can put on our on yellow book of security.
Yeah.
So the aumento de pena,
raising the prison time for
raise the prison time, the three time strike law that have in other parties. Here, a criminal he passed have cases that the criminal passed to the legacy.
Okay, to the police. The police.
Yes.
To the police like 30 times.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's unbelievable that we have this.
How is a person like detained 30 times and he's not rotting in prison? If you don't mind me saying. So there are a lot of things that need to be changed. For example, the public workers, like the high caste of public workers, they have too many benefits. Like judges, for example. In Brazil, a judge can have up to 3 months vacation per year. and when they retire,
Wow.
they get their whole salary for the rest of their lives. So,
Wow.
yeah, so it's a little bit insane. When I say to you, like, it's hard to say where we would start from, because there are so many basic problems. Like, we're a country that we want so badly to discuss, like, trends, restrooms and everything, but half our people don't have toilets. Like the sanitary
Basics.
Yeah.
the basic they don't have access to it. Like, a little bit less than 100 million people. So we have to discuss the basic first. Education is a huge problem. In Brazil,
We
people
decreased it in the last year.
we decreased, and in Brazil, people, they graduate from universities. I don't even mean like high school. I mean universities, and they can't interpret a simple text. You know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of work. Yeah, but we're the only ones proposing to do some actual change. Even the left, which I admit is ideological, they don't really have a long-term plan. And the right also, the current right that we have, also doesn't have a plan. Like, what is Bolsonaro's plan? What is Lula's plan? What is Alexandre de Moraes' plan? Since he wants so badly to rule the country, like through his authoritarian pen, he doesn't have it. Nobody has a plan. So we're okay. We're gonna draw that plan, and we are gonna present it to the people, and hey, we're hoping people will notice that.
Okay, yeah. But a lot of people at the moment, as far as I've heard, are satisfied with Lula. So Lula is quite popular here nowadays in Brazil. So,
he has
A certain popularity.
a certain popularity, of course.
When Lula left his second term, this is the third time he's president, right? So his second term, he ended it with 80% approval.
80-90%.
It was a huge approval, like 80% when you're leaving your mandate. That's not common. Like, that's insane. And now, how much he has now? Like 40, not even 40. So it's not the same. Like, he's still a very popular politician, but it's not the same. And there are studies that show when people study, have more access to studies, and they make their lives a little better, they start to get more money, they stop voting in workers' parties.
It's important to say something that, I don't know, but 30% of people in Brazil, they depends on the government.
Yeah.
in terms of aid,
Yeah.
like money that they get from the government.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
Auxílio.
Auxílio, yes.
Auxílio,
Aid, yeah.
a benefit, governmental aid. That's perfect.
For example, you take a state like Maranhão. Maranhão, the last governor was Flávio Dino, that now is in the Supreme Court.
Yes.
He did 2 governments in Maranhão. In Maranhão, like 55% of the people, they have what?
Governmental aid.
Yes.
They live under,
50%.
it's the main
So,
resource they have.
Yeah.
yes, and the Workers' Party, they...
It's 55% of a whole state.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
And the Workers' Party, they said, in now campaigns, they said, if we didn't steal in the power, the opposition will cut all of these benefits because they are bad, and we are good, and we're gonna
take care of you.
No,
We're gonna use this term.
Yes, we're gonna take care, and we're gonna raise
The benefits.
the benefits
Yeah.
for you. So
It seems that Brazil
different.
is.
Lula once
Yeah.
said, people in Brazil, they don't want to be governed. They want to be taken care of.
Yeah.
So it's this paternal logic. It's almost Freudian in a way that, I want this guy to take care of me. So the whole logic of the political system in Brazil is completely
yes.
the opposite of what it
He
should.
don't want to take care of things. He don't want to take care of Amazon or the public things or the streets. I don't know. They want to take care of the people.
Yeah, because he's such a good guy. Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
So many challenges ahead also for you. So I think that's, I'm done with my questions. One last thing that I wanted to ask you and want to see your reaction. Who is Bobson?
Today I talked about it. I put Bobson. I do a parallel
Comparison.
a comparison between Bobson, that is
He's the middle Brazilian. He's the
Yes.
average Brazilian, the
I
guy
do-
that suffers with the Brazilian
Yeah.
problems, and he has the middle Brazilian personality and wishes. So it's like a guy.
I did a comparison
Yeah.
with a term created by Ortega y Gasset in a book called A Rebelião das Massas. I don't know how to translate.
Rebellion of the masses.
Yes.
Yes, and he talked about the homem massa.
Okay,
Like
the mass man?
Yeah,
Yes.
the mass man.
Yeah.
The
And
mainstream man,
yes.
maybe?
Yes,
Something,
perfect.
yeah.
Yes, and I did a comparison between this term of Ortega Gasset and the Bobson that we are talking about, because the Bobson is a guy who want to have a lot of direitos
A lot of
Rights.
a lot of
Rights
rights, yeah,
e
a lot of
nenhum dever.
benefits and no duties.
and no duties. He like to say to the politics, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, the world need to be like this, and he didn't do the little things in his house, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
He's a hypocrite.
Hypocrite.
Hypocrite. And it's
It's
like,
it's also the guy that suffers from the Brazilian problems. For example, he stays for like 2 to 3 hours in traffic on a bus, and he has a son that he doesn't take care of because he lets the wife take care of the son, and so it's like the mainstream Brazilian that needs to be. He needs to have a better education. He needs to be able to thrive.
He sees the politics are as an entertainment. So he don't want to know about proposals. He don't want to read or something. He wants to see the politicians, and the politics as an entertainment.
Fighting
So
against each other.
that's the biggest example. That's why Pablo Marçal, for example, is on the hype now, because people see because Pablo Marçal
He's an entertainer.
He's an entertainer. He put a lot of videos on the internet doing some things that's nothing to have in common with politics. How we imagine that politics
Should
should
be,
be.
yeah.
Should
Yeah.
be. So people, the Bobson are looking for this. He want an entertainer.
Yeah, and Bobson would be just a generic name that anyone
Okay.
could have. I don't think there exists many Bobsons, but it's just a funny name.
No, it's
No, I mean the
they
name.
are-
The name
Ah,
Bobson.
okay.
Yeah.
No.
I don't think it's very common, but you know, it's the. How did you say the mainstream Brazilian?
Mainstream, yeah.
Yeah. That's the Bobson for you.
Okay. So, Lucas and Renato, thank you very much for the interview, and
Thank you.
thank you for your
Thank you
time.
very much.